Hello, everyone. Welcome to the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. We're back live, Kevin, after our
Long summer
fall
break.
vacation, long summer break,
Yeah, we took the summer off from doing these.
hanging at the
So
pool,
yeah,
doing nothing.
yeah, we did. Well, we did lots of stuff.
We did
Just
lots of stuff. We
we
just didn't go live for a week or 4 weeks.
yeah. I don't know how long it's been. I don't know when the last one was. I should have checked actually. I don't know when.
Last
But
month,
it's
I think.
was it?
Yeah.
I think it was longer than that.
So we took a little vacation. Kevin's on vacation. Kevin's vacation was nicer than mine. Yeah, he went to
I
the
don't know.
Bahamas.
I don't know. You went to playing Star Wars Land.
I
I
did.
like that.
I had to come back from my vacation and sleep for 2 days. I was worn out. So,
I definitely didn't have to do that. I did nothing on my vacation. It was
yeah.
beach, pool, beach, sleep, pool,
And
pina
pineapple
colada.
drinks.
Yeah, exactly. That was about it. It was super relaxing.
Yeah.
If you've never been and you thinking about going to the Bahamas, just go. It's amazing. It's such
Yeah.
my first time going there, so it was good.
Yeah, so we had we took an extended break. A lot of things changing here at Coder Foundry. One of the things that we're going to do next year is we're converting everything over to .NET 8. So we've been making .NET 8 content as we get ready for that massive translation. But if you're not coming to the boot camp, and we wanted to help some other people out today to say, here's kind of what you need to be building. We still see continued things on Reddit posts, Twitter, Threads, LinkedIn, that no one can get a dev job.
Yeah, I
And
keep seeing it all the time.
they keep saying it all the time. And then when you look at the stats say otherwise. Stats, and we're going to make a video on this as well, but stats of saying that the hottest jobs in the market are healthcare and software development, the two
Still.
largest growing still.
Yep.
So we still see consistently people saying AI is taking my job, AI is taking over, they're replacing programmers with AI. I've not yet seen a dev job that's been totally replaced by AI. Is AI going to improve the way we code? Yeah. The best example of AI in coding is GitHub Copilot right now. So it's pretty good, but it's not anywhere close to replacing dev jobs. So the question remains that if the jobs are growing at 30% clip, like they're saying over the next 10 years, it's still the most in-demand job in America. Why aren't people getting jobs, Kevin? What is it?
Right. Exactly.
Are all
Like,
these
but what are
companies
they?
putting out false ads? Is that what it is? That the ads are all false from all these companies? And
This is something we'll have to talk about in our stats video too, and we do when we
Yeah.
do that because there's still there's this massive deficit of developers to jobs still, even if people are like there's no jobs. Well, there are. You just got to look at the stats. There are. So it's like people say, well, and then they'll say, well, those go to college grads, and we'll be like, well, okay, there's only X amount of college grads, yet there's still a deficit. Who's filling those jobs? What are they? Magic?
Magic.
Who's filling them? What's happening here? They're just saying, well, we can't get anybody, so we're not going to have anybody for that job. It just it just bugs me.
On the Twitter the other day, they said no one hires self-taught. And this guy had this video. The only people he worked with are CS grads, and he doesn't know anyone that's self-taught. And then I just responded to him saying, hey, man, if you're not self-taught in this industry, you're not working in this industry. I'm just telling you, I don't care where you went to college. I went to college. What did I learn in college? COBOL. How many lines of code did I write as a professional COBOL developer upon graduation? 0.
Right. This industry moves on so fast, doesn't it? It's like if you're relying on something you did even 5 years ago, 10 years ago for sure, like you're outdated.
Yeah, if you're coding in JavaScript, you know that whatever you're using today is going to be out of use next week. I mean,
Well,
like seems
tomorrow.
like, you know,
Actually, maybe this afternoon.
we're all converting to Bun right now. That's what we're doing, people. Forget whatever else we wrote. We're using Bun now.
Is that the latest? Is that the latest one? I just don't even look at these because it's like I don't even pay attention to them anymore. I'll see them and I will just skip past them. I'm just like until there's like some mass consensus over them. It's like
which takes years.
Right.
Which takes years for this to happen. Right. So what we're saying is if dev jobs are being replaced by AI or some kind of downgrade or whatever, people wouldn't be making new frameworks. Like there is still a dearth of problems that need to be solved in the software development industry that frameworks are addressing some of those issues that we have. When we write code, we're like, hey, I wish this was better. I wish this was different. Frameworks come out to address that. It's still not fast enough, so frameworks have to get faster. Hence the reason .NET 8 comes out. .NET 8 comes out, and they're addressing all of these problems. How do I meld a client-side project that's traditional SPA with a back end? How do I do that? And so a lot of people are struggling in the JavaScript framework world, and .NET 8's coming out and saying, hey, we're going to build our client-side framework. We're going to marry it to our already great back end. Let's do that. And so I think there's a lot of work going on, regardless of whether you're in .NET 8 space or you're in the JavaScript space. There's a lot of things that are changing right now because why? People are still building websites, still building web applications, and there's no end-to-end sight over the next decade. So it's still a good job. The question is, why aren't these people getting jobs? And I think we can boil it down to our 3 steps that we do here at Coder Foundry. The first one is build, is that they don't build the right things to get a job.
All right, and that's what we kind of thought we'd talk about today, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's my transition into that. So,
we're going to do, so what we're going to do is Bob's going to go through, we have some slides to go along with this because we use, the first day, anybody that's been to Coder Foundry this year, I don't know if there's anybody in the chat that is, but if you've been to Coder Foundry, you'll know day one, Bobby gives a presentation, and part of that presentation is around portfolios. So we thought we'd take those slides and show everybody, and you can talk through those as you normally would.
This is probably a subset of what we cover, and that first day is more like a.
Oh, it's a tiny little bit of that. Yeah,
it's a tiny little bit of this. And the reason I do this is because what we try to do at Coder Foundry is prepare people for the amount of effort that's getting ready to be involved. Even though I tell them coming in, first day, hey, this is what we're going to do. Because here's what we believe. Here's fundamentally what we believe. When I see people say, I can't find a dev job, their skills are down here. That's fundamentally, I think that's what it is. And I think realistically, the skills are up here. Now, YouTube and Twitter and all the other people, with the exception of maybe me and a few others, they're telling you, all you need is some HTML, some CSS, you're good to go. You can get $150,000 a year instantaneously. It's just not true, man. I mean, you have to know way more stuff than what people are telling you on the internet. And so don't believe them when they say, I can't find a job. It's because their skills are down here. And I'm not insulting anyone. I'm saying, hey, get your skills up to here, and then that dream is possible. Right. So this is where we present this. And we put a plan together to hit a job. Now, is everyone successful? Not always. There's just some other things and other factors involved in this and getting a job, which is the soft skill part. And maybe we'll do a thing about the soft skill part of this where you build all this stuff, but you just fail in technical interviews because the soft skills are down here. You need to get those and raise those up here too.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has to align. I mean, we've never ever said this is it's easy to do.
Yeah.
We've always said that it's easier for more people to do than you think.
Right.
Because that is true. Some people just don't believe they can do it, and they genuinely can. But then there's another subset of people who just believe they have to do very little to be able to do it when it's a massive amount of effort. And it is a massive amount of it. Like you say, it's proof of work, it's soft skills. It's kind of like you could say the stars have to align. It's the job coming at the right. It is. There's a lot of things have to happen. Mm-hmm. For you to break in, but we talk about maximizing your chances. We talk about that a lot at the bootcamp.
Right, we maximize.
How do you maximize your chances? Exactly. It's like saying, well, I never win the lottery. It's like, well, you bought one. Oh, you didn't buy a ticket, right? That's the thing. Right. It's like you saying you didn't buy a ticket. It's like, and it's the same thing. It's like, well, you didn't get a developer job because you didn't prove you can do the work.
Right. So a lot of other jobs that we interview for in a lot of places are looking at soft skills, relatability, reliability. And so you don't have to prove any skill to get a lot of these jobs. Customer service, for example. They're just going to say, are you going to show up? Are you reliable? Are you a nice person? Those kind of things. They're looking for a different skill set, which centers in and around soft skills. And most business jobs are like this. You answer 20 questions about who you are, and then like, okay, yeah, I think we can do this. Coding is just completely different. The soft skills somewhat take a back seat to the hard skill. In other words, the hard skill is the thing that you have to have just to get in. And then they'll weed you out based on the soft skill.
Right.
And so if you come in and you just can't write a for loop, you have no chance to get a job.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The soft skills do play a backseat, and I'll tell you why. Yeah. You've hired people who didn't have the best soft skills, but had great technical skills, right?
Yeah, right.
Right? So it shows you that it happens, that the technical skills definitely outweigh the soft skills.
It does, and like there's some people I've worked with and hired. Like, if I could just slide pizza under the door and never talk to them and say, "Here, stay in here and eat," just code this up, man. Like, and they did a good job, So like, I do think that the soft skills are important. It's the second degree of this. The first one is the hard thing, and so the question is, if you graduate from, I don't care, let's take all three types: CS grad, we can take boot camp, and then we can take self-learning. So those are the three primary ways that people get educated in this marketplace. I don't know of another way. Is there another one? Magic,
that's it.
I guess.
Magic.
We can put the magic.
You're
osmosis.
Just born with the skill.
Yeah. My dad was a coder, therefore I am. I mean, like, so I think those are the three ways. All three of those are having problems breaking into the software industry.
Right.
Because they don't build stuff that proves the work. So what does a CS grad do for me? And I'll be honest, if you have a CS grad in this market, we've seen it. We have CS grads coming to boot camp. If you have a CS grad, you can get more looks. You can get looks coming out of boot camp for sure, but you can get more looks coming out of here. Question is, did you build anything once they look at you? And this is what they're running into, is they don't have a portfolio to show.
Yep.
So let's talk about like what we think you should do. Here's my first slide here. We'll go ahead and put the first one up here. Is just our overall method here at Coder Foundry. We believe this: a goal without a plan is a wish. And so a lot of people wish they could be a developer, but they don't have a goal of being a developer. Now, a goal defines action steps to us. Like when you have a goal and then you have to work backwards and say, what are the action steps I need to do to reach this goal? If you just wish I'd be a software developer, typically people with just a wish don't have any action steps. They just haphazardly or not do anything at all and just wish they could be a developer. And then when it doesn't happen, they complain about it. People with goals, we set goals up, then they have to put a plan. They put a plan together and they follow these action steps and these plans, and it leads to the goal. Everyone else say, hey, I wish I could be a developer. It'd be nice if I could make the money that developers make, but they just don't hire juniors anymore. So when we think about not hiring juniors, think about this. People every year get older, and every year people graduate into retirement. They get old enough and it's like, hey, I'm hanging up my keyboard. I'm going to the beach with Kevin. That's what I'm going to do. And so like we hang up our keyboard and we don't work anymore. That means that people are leaving the work industry. They have to be replaced. On top of that, there's growth in the industry. Yep. So if there's 10,000 devs working today and 1,000 of them move on to retirement, they need 1,000 people to fill in just the people that retired. In addition to say, if it's grown by 30%, well, we really need 3,000. We need 3,000 more people to come in, not just 1,000, replace the people that are retired and new growth that's happening. So it becomes this problem with, if they don't hire juniors, well, there's no way they're filling these jobs, which means juniors have to be hired. They have to be. People working their first year in software development happens every single day in the US, for sure.
Yep.
Because we see it. We place them. So we
Exactly.
know what it happens to do.
Exactly.
So let's put a plan together. And so like we think this is our plan that we do. First and foremost, you got to have a portfolio. And so getting a job requires something to show. And so we think if you have nothing to show, it's going to be really hard to get in. All right. And our plan revolves around building specific things, very specific pieces that enhance your visibility, which means it drives traffic to the things that you're building. And then your credibility, when they look at it, they go, oh, that's different. That's kind of cool. Like, okay, that's not just the run-of-the-mill person that's coming out here. This person actually built some stuff. That's the goal here. So the goal is, our plan is to say, hey, let's build some very specific things. The first thing we want to build is a portfolio site. A portfolio site is going to house all the links and all the work you put in. And so the next slide just talks about what a portfolio site should be. And so number one, it should be professionally hosted. Here at Coder Foundry, we use Netlify. You can use Netlify for sale. You can use anything you want. If you have a custom domain, we advise getting one, which is, medev.com, whatever. But you can run off the Netlify.
We're using Railway now, right? Aren't we?
We use Netlify for portfolios, Railway for .NET
Okay,
project.
for the apps. Okay.
You could post it on Railway as well.
Okay.
The other thing that's really important to this that we see when we do portfolio reviews is the moment we look at it in the browser tools, the website can kind of fall apart.
Yeah, definitely.
You need to think of 60 to 80% of all traffic to a portfolio site will probably be first viewed on a phone.
Yeah, mobile first has been a thing for a long time, but you really need to pay attention to that these days.
And it's still today, it's still a problem. So if it doesn't look good on mobile, then you can get dismissed right away. And so one of the things that we do a lot is talk about a soft no. We talk about the soft no all the time. It's like, is there anything on my portfolio where the person will just look at it and go, nah, I'm going to pass. Here's the danger of building a portfolio. Now you're putting your work out there. And if your work is subpar, they pass anyway. And so if you make a crappy portfolio, then you're going to not get the results that you want. So we can't just make any website and put together with any way for this to work. And so a lot of times we see bad portfolio sites, Kevin, don't we?
Yeah.
We see them badly. And it's like, okay, so that's, in a lot of ways, it's kind of worse than not having anything. I mean,
Agreed.
It's kind of like, It's kind of like raising VC money, Kevin. If you don't have any customers and you haven't done it yet, and you sell them hopes and dreams, they'll fund your company. The moment you have customers, they're like, well, do you have 10 million of them? No, I've got 100. You're not fundable.
Yeah.
If I'd have just asked 2 weeks earlier, I'd have been fundable. So like a lot of ways, pushing together a portfolio site that's bad hurts you. But why don't we just make it great to begin with and just say, let's just make sure that it's good. And so we think it has to have 6 main sections: an about section, a skills section. This is the skills, the primary stack that you work on. A lot of mistakes that people make when they're looking for a job is they are applying to 500 random software jobs.
Yeah.
They don't care about
400 of which are misaligned. Yeah.
They're all misaligned for the most part. They just went and blanketly put it out there. I've talked to guys that says, well, I'm using AI to randomly post to jobs for me. I'm like, no, you can't do that. You have to look at the job and see if that job aligns with the stack that you learned. So if you're out there learning React or Mern, the Mern stack or whatever it is, then apply for jobs that have those Mern jobs in there. It's really hard, especially with a first-year software student, is to cross-sell yourself into a different stack. It's pretty difficult. And the only time this kind of works is if the company is using a stack they know is hard to find people that do it. So they'll say, we'll train you. We know we're using VB.
But in those cases, they're also looking for somebody who's probably also or has already done at least a couple of different things and made it probably at least one switch, right? Because they know they're capable of doing that then. And it's easier for them to, because once you're a mid and a senior, that's almost like, that can be kind of expected. You can go for a job that's not necessarily in your stack because you've shown the last couple of things that you've done, you switched already and you are capable of doing it. But for a junior, you have no proof you have no proof that you can. So
that you can even do one. I mean, so you need to have your skill section is prominent on this portfolio because it shows the stacks that you know how to use. Now, what I would shy away from, even for seniors and mids here, I want to talk to seniors and mids. Don't put every single thing you've ever learned in this area. For example, I'm not going to put COBOL on a portfolio that I'm shipping out because I don't want to do COBOL.
I can say, unless you're applying for a COBOL job.
I don't want to do it. I mean, I know there's an environment division, but everything else I forgot. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, that's all I know. So I don't want to do that anymore. Therefore, I don't want to do it. So these are the mainstream skills that you know that you want to work in. Okay. It doesn't matter if you know PHP or not, if you're not going to accept that PHP role. Right. That's what I think. So main skill set. So this could be short and sweet. The one thing that turns seniors off when they have portfolios is their skill section is like 50 pages long. They've got every logo on the planet in there. It's like, what does this guy know how to do? What are you using now? So I think that's a thing. So we're going to put a very distinct skill section that offers a value proposition. This is what I know how to do. Your job knows how to do this. I know how to do this. We match.
Yep.
That's what we're trying to do. The second thing is the coding challenges. So we take predefined coding challenges. This could be FizzBuzz, reverse a string for code for juniors, things that you're getting asked all the time. And we build these out and put them in a section. And then we have our projects. Projects are like enterprise grade, full stack applications that we build And these are going to be like 3 of these put together. And then we have a bunch of skills that we put together. And then we have a blog, and then we have a contact. And so we're going to write about software as well. So those are the main 6 sessions. So what we can talk about here is these mini sites, and these is our skill section. So we can, we're going to start off with building these coding challenges. Now, you're probably thinking, what's a mini site compared to my portfolio? Well, we're going to separately host each JavaScript coding challenge and put it on our site. So we build 6 to 7 of these in our cohort. Sometimes we build 8. We build up quite a few of these, and they're built in and around coding challenges. So we start off simple to more complex as we go. So you're thinking, reverse a string? Why would I put that on my site? I don't know. If you think it's too simple, do something more complex. But if you can't reverse a string from memory, stick it on your portfolio. All right. So as you go through this thing may change over time. Now, what these projects do are typically smaller in nature, typically don't have a database, typically don't require a login, but it does some sort of function. One of the ones that we do that's really cool is Superdog events and mortgage calc. Those are 2 kind of projects that we do that perform a specific function. Superdog like takes event data and then summarizes it, puts in like the mean, the average, the totals and those kind of things. It puts together in like an event type environment. Is it full featured? Is it fully baked out? No. But it shows that you can operate on array data, JSON data, you can use local storage. There's a lot of things that goes into the site to make it happen. And so it shows a level of expertise, but this isn't the primary thing we're going to do. What it does do is allow us to build 6 websites that have 6 separate URLs, and they are linked back into the portfolio site. They also have 6 different GitHub repos for this too. So it improves your SEO rank for your portfolio site and more chances for people that might just find you. Okay. All of them are professionally hosted. And they're also, Kevin, the other thing that we do, the hidden thing in these mini sites is we logo each one of them. Yeah. So they're in the cohort area, they have to make a brand for each one of these sites that we make, which we think is important too. So when people look at it, it's kind of cool. Like, wow, you branded it and everything. Yes.
Right, it's meant to. It looks real, doesn't it? It's not.
It looks real.
It looks. Yeah, it's not fake. We do that for all of our projects. Actually, we don't. We try and have them brand all of them and make them like a legit project instead of just, because we'll see sometimes it's just like, I don't know, to-do list application, that's the name of it, and it's like, no, it's just, you need to do something more than that. It needs to at least
I've seen students show me stuff they built from their cohort at a different boot camp, not ours, and it's literally just an input box at the top of the page with a button that says add, nothing else. Right. And like, and add, click add, and you're like, there's no information about what does the project do.
Right.
It doesn't even have to-do lists on the H1 tag on it. It just looks like really, really junior. And so like, and when people see projects like that, they're like, okay, you don't have enough skill. Your skills are down here. Your portfolio needs to say, hey, I can build a website. I can put it together in a user interface that people want to use. And then I can do the markup and the logo and all that kind of stuff and push stuff around it to make it interesting. And I think that is what these mini sites do. The next thing we build is 3 business class projects. And these are what we call showcase projects. And these are projects that show a lot of skill. And typically they solve a business problem, they implement security, they use a database, and they have demo logins. And trust me when I say this, they have to be attractive. If you build this out and it's not attractive, it hurts you. So that means you put a template on it or design it yourself, however you want to do it, but it's got to be attractive. Now, if you go to Coder Founder here and you watched our YouTube channel for more than a week, then you know we talked about a bug tracker in this case. And this is our flagship #1 project that we showcase is a bug tracker. And that's what you're seeing in a picture here. The thing that we know when we see employers see this, massive credibility. When we show a bug tracker, they're like, oh, I can see you working here. Now, you may not win every job that you ever show this to. I can guarantee you it shows you credibility right when you do it. And that's what we're trying to do. The hidden feature to this is it's a demo artifact for a for interviews or maybe a YouTube channel. So you could build a bug tracker and then make 50 videos off of a bug tracker for your YouTube channel. How you built it, different features, whatever you wanted to do it. The third thing it does is allows you to control interviews. If someone asks you a technical question about the language or the stack that you're having, that you're building in, that could be React, it could be Angular, it could be C#, doesn't really matter. Your project is written in that same stack you're interviewing for. Therefore, when they ask you a technical question, you can answer questions with an answer, and the answer is in your code base. So if they ask you what an object is, go show them how you made objects in your C# code in the bug tracker. And that's why it works. And then this is what we train developers to do during interviews. It's more of a soft skill thing. But if you don't have a demo artifact, we can't teach you this method if you don't have anything to show. And so the more you have to show, the more you demo, the quicker you get hired. Each of these sites are also professionally hosted and they showcase the business problem. So the two that we build that you have to build, I think, number one, the one that's non-negotiable build is the blog because we use it for other purposes. The bug tracker we think is the best business class project you can build. And then we build an address book with some fancy features that help out. So that's kind of what we do here. Now, the next thing we do is we build a blog. And there's a reason that we build a blog is because we're going to use each article as an individual link. So we want you to build, in our class, in our cohorts, we want them to build 20 to 30 blog articles. And you're probably thinking, hey, I came to a bootcamp to learn how to code, not how to write. But we feel like if you could build 20 blog articles based in and around the things that you know how to talk about, you can teach somebody something. You're more likely to be found. And if someone reads one of your blog articles and they happen to be looking, they may want to interview you based on that. So what could you write about? You could write about any of the coding challenges that we put together, anything that you've written about. Take a little small subset of that and write about it. It could be the Fetch API. People laugh at this when I say this, but I still see new YouTube videos every week on the Fetch API that are coming out.
Yeah. Yep.
It works, man. Like, because what happens is, I want the audience to think about this. If I did a Fetch API YouTube video last year, okay, and someone does one this year, and it fundamentally hasn't really changed, they'll look at the newer one because the person learning it will look at the latest information.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why these projects and these concepts get covered over and over and over again, because people want to see what the latest of this is, you know. So you could cover promises, you can cover async in JavaScript. In C# you can talk about like inheritance, interfaces, object-oriented programming. There's a lot of things you could talk about and just take a feature from one of these things and just talk about that. And just cover it and then write 30 articles. It should be really easy to you to find 30 articles. Now, what about, Kevin, what do you think about us using ChatGPT to write these 30 articles? What do you think about that?
It's a good starting point.
It's a good starting point.
It's better than a blank piece of paper. I will say that. You can give it, and something like ChatGPT, again, if you're using it correctly, if you're using an AI to write this, whichever one your choice of the day is, if you give it a kind of a decent like title and a structure and some key points you want it to cover, it's going to give you a way better starting point. But don't just take it at verbatim, whatever it spits out. Definitely read it. It'll add verbose words and it'll make it like more complex than it needs to be. It's not written in your voice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know, just make sure that you go back
7 years ago.
Exactly. It's going to start once upon a time there was a computer. No, and it'll like, you know, it'll make some kind of weird story out of it or something sometimes. It's strange. But yeah, it's a good starting point. I would say that's going to help you speed up and enable you to create 30 of them, but you still got to come up with the 30 ideas. You can ask it for ideas, but again, don't always trust what it's going to come with for the ideas either.
Yeah, and if you ask it for ideas and none of the ideas relate to your code that you've written, it's not going to matter. Remember, these blog articles are based on your experience, the things that you're building, so that when someone asks you about your blog article, you can demo the project that you got it from, and you're starting to see how we're using all of this to get a job. Everything that we build has a purpose for why we're doing it. It's just not for so you can have 30 articles or you can become famous. I want you to be able to talk about the things that you want to educate on. We have seen people written an article about authentication and authorization. They taught the interviewer person how this worked under .NET 8, not .NET 8, excuse me, just .NET in general. And they're like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Boom, they got hired. And so, like, I think that's important. You never understand. If you teach someone something during the interview, you're more than likely going to get hired. And you can, because not every piece of knowledge is known. Even to seniors, we don't know everything. I mean, like, like we can learn something new every day. The moment you think you know everything, you become stupid, in my opinion. Only the stupid people feel like they know everything.
Definitely.
All right.
So
here's the other thing. Yeah. It needs to be published on GitHub. Now, a lot of people just publish to GitHub and they go, and that's just what they get. I've got a GitHub repo. Just share it with you.
Here you go. Hire me. Here's my GitHub link. Yeah. Please hire me.
Yeah. Here's my green squares. Hire me. And I see that today. Like, it is so frustrating that people say that if you don't have a GitHub commit history that's full of green blocks, no one's going to hire you. And I'm like, dude, I have never looked at that in my life. It's like, maybe I'm the one of the few that don't look at it. Maybe it's just me, but in general, what they do look at is if you have a link to one of your coding challenges, for example, and they find it on GitHub and they're like, oh, I want to know how to do FizzBuzz. And they find your GitHub on FizzBuzz, but inside your README has the logo for the project, the link to the published version. Bam, you win. So you need to make sure that you pay attention to the READMEs in each one of these projects so that they can just link over to the published version right off the bat without them having to clone the repo, get it running, or anything like that. So even if they find your bug tracker out on the internet and they say, oh, let me look at this guy's GitHub repo, and then right in the README, you say, here, look over here and let's see the demo site that I have put together. I guarantee you 99% of the time, that dev manager, the highly technical person, is going to look at that demo first.
Yeah.
Because it's faster and it's easier. And sometimes people looking at your stuff, trying to gauge if you can work here or not, and they find a GitHub repo, they don't know how to clone it. They're not technical. But if you give them a link, they're like, oh, I can look at a website. Wow, that's cool. Demo logins and everything? Wow, okay, let me forward them over to the hiring manager and see what they think. And that's what we want to do. We want to make this a conversion site. Not something we don't care if they look at our code or not. We want to get them over to the demo so that we can show them what we can do. And that's what we want to do here. Okay, now I want you to think about this. Why does this work for Coder Foundry students, and why would this work for you? Why should I put all this effort into this? Think about this. Let's say you had 20 blog articles. Your GitHub is kind of on steroids. You got multiple projects, multiple full stack, business class projects, 3 of those. And then you have all of these mini sites, 5, 6, 7, 10 that you've put together. And they look at it all in a portfolio. They're like, okay, this gives you massive credibility. You have all these points where they could find you, the visibility. It drives traffic to the portfolio, and they may just find you in a search. And it increases your SEO and relevancy ranking. This website screams, I'm a developer, because I have all these things pointing into it. And I think that's why you do it. Now, I want you to think about, how does this compare to other students? And we can look at the next one. I think we got the next slide there. I think that's next. Oh, so I took that slide out. So one of the things that I want you to think about, this is a quote from one of my favorite football players, Jerry Rice. He said, today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can do what others can't. Now, a lot of people will see the amount of effort a Coder Foundry grad puts into something, and they're like, I ain't doing that. If I could do that, I would start a company. I've heard people say
yeah,
that.
We've heard that. Yeah.
Business
if I could do that, I wouldn't be looking for a job.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we're trying to explain to people is the skills are up here. They're not down here. So you can do less and maybe get a job. But we can see there's a lot of people frustrated down here that I just know a little bit of HTML. Or you can put your plan together, follow your action steps, and say, I'm going to do what others won't today. So tomorrow I can do what others can't. And that can't is get a software job. A lot of people can't do it because they're down here. They stay down here, and we want to push people up here. Now, you're probably thinking, I ain't doing that. Here's what I can promise you. Everyone that graduates Coder Foundry is going to do this.
Yeah, and the job that you're applying for when you haven't done this, the next person that's getting that interview, they have done this.
They lose. They lose to us all the time because I can tell you that we've interviewed at mid-level jobs, And there's 5 guys interviewing for this job. The co-founder guy walks away with the paycheck. Why? Proof of work. Proof of what they can do. I've seen it over and over and over again. Now, what I will say, does that mean that every single guy that goes to co-founder gets a job? No. Some don't graduate, some don't finish, some can't get over the soft skills, some aren't looking for work. There's a lot of reasons why this doesn't work. I would say this though, if you're committed to getting a job, you need to do something like this, whether you come here or somewhere else or self-learn, do whatever you want to do. This is where you should set your targets at, because this is what it takes to get a job. Got any comments or questions? And then what I also want to do is show a portfolio. I want to show you what we're currently building the cohort, but if you got any questions, answer those real quick. Comments? I'm not looking.
Yeah, let me look real quick. Hold on.
I've enraged the people yet. Is that anyone mad at me?
There's a couple things.
Yeah.
Ridge Ray says, which project should I push as number 1 on my portfolio? Book tracker, AI chef, or personal project? Okay, Blazor server with store procedures, 12 models.
That's a great question. Which one do I push as number 1? Here's what I'd say, Ridge Ray. The number 1 project you can talk the most about is the one you want in the number 1 position. So if you're interviewing for a job, say ASP.NET job, okay, one of those ASP jobs is going to be important to talk about first. But what you want to do is create your demo so that if they asked you, hey, do you know what inheritance is in C#? That you know instantly where to go to look at that code base. So for us here at CoderFounder, we say Bug Tracker MVC is the one we show. But if you've got a personal Blazor server project with store procedures and you know that code base exceptionally well, what I would do is create a demo out of that project, which means that a certain path of pages and views that you go to every single time that demonstrates about every question. So since I know he's on the self-paced course, if you go to the self-paced course and go into the Blazor interview, or not the Blazor interview, the interview course, and you can see the top 20 C# questions, actually down to 100. If you take those top 20 and you can answer all those questions inside the Blazor server project that you have with store procedures, and they answer all those questions, use that one. We modeled our questions after the bug tracker because we know it answers all those questions. And we know those questions are asked during interviews because we track what our students get asked. That's why we have them in the interview, because we ask every student when they interview, what did they ask you? Remember every question, write it down. And we go through them like, yep, you should have known that, you should have known that, you should have known that. Why didn't you know that? And they're like, I panicked. Okay, let's improve on here. And that's how we improve interviews. But we know those 100 questions, pretty much what you're going to be asked in any .NET interview. They're going to ask you what a string is and why it's important and how is it different than JavaScript. If you don't know the answer to that right now, go look it up. But yeah, just take one of those projects that you want to show off that you think is the most impressive on the front end, that you can drive them all the way through. I will say that AI Chef is impressive on the front end. Most people haven't seen that one yet because it's pretty brand new. If you want to show that, it's kind of cool. If they're doing Blazor, you got to show a Blazor project. If they're doing MVC, you can show an MVC project.
Yeah.
It's another thing you can do.
Yep. I do have some more questions, but we'll come back to them after the demo real quick.
Let's demo
I see a couple more questions in there, but let's just show. So this is a sample of a portfolio that we use in the virtual course.
Yeah, and I would say that this is Portfolio 3.0, which we've done. This is our third version of this that came out this year. So this is only in the virtual in-person. We don't have this on the self-paced course yet. This is the brand new version that we're showing. So what we do is we build this from scratch, from the HTML tag all the way up. So this isn't a template, it's something you build from scratch in person. And if anyone's watching in the current cohort, this is what they're building this week. Right now, they're working on these right now. So but they're probably doing their CSS quiz right now. But so we have a homepage here, and our homepage has a CTA on it. And the CTA is whatever you want it to be. Now we have 2 CTAs on this. Notice our footer is different than most footers. It's stuck to the bottom. It's always going to appear here. It's kind of cool. This is one of the changes we made. It has a call out to a project, and then there's a contact me in there. So we have 2 CTAs in here that they know what they want to do. Notice here that the developer has a logo, and then they have their name and then what they do. pretty simple. Here in our version, we've switched to like a minimalist side nav bar. We like that look right now, but you don't have a side nav bar and you have it across the top, that works fine. So I don't want you to get stuck on saying, hey, it has to be a side navigation because Bobby said it did. No, that's what Bobby likes this month. I mean, I may change
this
it
does change all
month.
the time. Yeah,
it does change quite a bit. And so like I asked the teachers, hey, let's change it up. I think I like this now.
I always feel like as soon as we've built one of these, it's always like, well, we want to change that now. We want to change that now. We're always like working on the next one already. It's like it's constantly evolving.
So you notice here we have it. And so it scrolls in here, and this is about me. And one of the mistakes I see in the about me section is they put about me. I like to rock climb. I like to chase dogs in the park and frisbees. And, it's like, it has nothing to do with their software development skills. Just think about the about me section as a chance to sell you as a developer. This is your 30-second sales pitch. If you met a hiring manager in the elevator and go, hey, what do you do? Well, I like to chase dogs in the park. Great, I do too. What kind of dog do you have? I have a Cocker Spaniel. And then y'all get off the elevator. And then the guy goes and says, hey, talks to his secretary, Gertrude, did you got those .NET people that I'm looking for? Yes, right here's the 5 resumes. And you missed the chance to tell him that you're a software developer. And so this should always be about software development, nothing else. Nothing else. I don't care about the personal challenges you overcame in your life. None of that. It doesn't really matter. You climbed the 12 largest peaks in 30 days. Fantastic. Can you code? And this tells me about, am I a coder? And so also your resume could be right here too as well.
Yep.
Then our skill section here, I talked to this a little bit about. This is our current skill section where we talk about what do I know how to do. We got some icons. And then you give a brief summary of like what you can do. You can also link projects from here that as well, but we always have this massive link at the bottom. Check out my bug tracker at the bottom. But if you didn't have this, you could link a project out here too as well. We'll see me use this in action. Over here is my favorite project right now.
Yep.
Then we have things I've built, and these are the 3 projects that we have. These are MVC projects currently. They'll be Blazor next year. These are 3 projects, our full stack projects that we put together. Now what we do here is, these are showcase. So we have a pop-up for each one, a modal pop-up that explains like what it does, the stack and what it does. That's the 2 things that this modal does. And then they can visit it from here, the published version. We also have some screenshots in there. It's kind of cool. Notice here too that we've also logoed and branded each one of our projects, and every student's required to do this too at Coder Foundry, and that each one is branded separately so that if you build a bug tracker, it doesn't look like everyone else's bug tracker and everyone's worried about that. But if you brand it out, change your logo, change your color scheme, theme it up, you're going to be fine. And notice here we got the technologies down there: C#, PostgreSQL, .NET, JavaScript, the full stack that we're using there. So that's our project section showcase. And then we have the smaller ones here. And these link out to other sites too. And we build these. And here, for example, SuperDog, you can click on that. It takes us right out to this site here that we build out. And then each site has the application. And then we also, just show some data there. It's kind of cool. And then you can look at the code section. If you look at that, we have this, we're using Prism that shows the code. To show that, and we have like a little kind of cool walkthrough of the code base, something we recommend doing. And every student does this as well. And then we have a link over to the repo if you want it. I think this links over to repo, probably does. Yep. You notice here I've got the README here, got the logo and everything in there. So that's kind of what you need to do. All right, so we can go back. And then we can go down here and we have stuff I write about. This is blogs. And so these are blog articles that's linked out to our blog site, but we bring them into our portfolio using an API. So our blog software that you write in the cohort has an API endpoint. And those APIs, we use fetch over here to fetch those and bring them back in. So our latest articles are always here. And so this is where we're bringing it all together on the portfolio so people can read about it. They can demo some applications. There's a lot going on here. And then finally down here is just a contact page, where you could chat me up if you want to hire me or whatever it is. So that's currently what we're doing in the portfolio. All All right, cool. That's the demo of that. So I'm excited about that. Only available, this project's only available in the in-person cohort right now. It takes a while to record these, so we'll get to it eventually. We're recording .NET 8 right now, so that's more important than the portfolio. We have a portfolio course already there. That's definitely good enough. You can put whatever template you want on it. Doesn't really matter. The thing I do want to stress, if you don't come to Coder Foundry and you saw this, you don't have to have that template that we're selling or we're building or we're doing in our course. You can do it with any template that you can go grab from ThemeForest or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It just matters the information has to be in there and everything has to be put together professionally. Every word is spelled right. All the links work. It's functional. And if it has those 6 sections in it, I think you're good to go.
Yeah, we haven't changed the sections really from our previous. There's just the templates changed a little bit. And that's probably the thing that'll change. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't foresee us changing those. At least not even in the next version. The stuff we're talking about now still stands. Like we've kept that for probably the last, maybe for all of them, all 3 versions. We may have rearranged a few things and we split some projects out at one point. But I would say right now, what we have here is kind of what we're still building today and what we'll build in the next version too. Yeah.
And as we get feedback from portfolios from employers or whatever, and the questions they ask, then we may push that into the portfolio to overcome those objections. So the number 1 rule in sales is overcoming objections. And so why would someone not hire you? And when you answer those questions in your demos, you win more because then they don't ever have objections. You've already answered them. And so that's the number 1 rule in sales is overcome objections. And your demo should overcome the objections that you see. And so the number 1 reason why people don't get hired is they don't believe they can code. That's fundamentally, that's what it is. That's like, they don't think you can do the job. So if they don't think you can do the job, then your demo didn't demonstrate enough skill to get in. Skills have to be up here. You may be down here. The cool thing is, if you've been looking for 6 months and you're being frustrated and you can have an honest discussion about like, where's your stuff sit at, you can build on that and keep going. There's no end to this. There's no finality of like a score, like, well, I've been looking too long, I gave up. You can always start over. You can always build more and you can always demonstrate more skill and you can learn more things.
I just noticed, technical note for those of you that are here live, I noticed this thing is, YouTube's like, we haven't done one of these in a minute and YouTube's changed the way they run ads. So this thing keeps popping up ads. I apologize. I don't like to run ads when we're live. Ads are okay on the repeat. That's fine. But when we're live, I don't like to run ads and it keeps running them and I can't turn them off. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Jeez, they should. Why don't they tell us so we can go?
I have no idea.
Break. We'll be right back after the 30-second.
I just noticed there's now a timer up here and I have to keep like telling it to not run ads. Like, okay. YouTube, man, like crazy. So I apologize. I'm like, why we keep getting a dip? I'm like, oh, it's running an ad. Like, what's going on here? Like, I thought it was a technical problem. So sorry about that. You know, you can click past it as soon as you have either.
Yeah. We want you to get the information, not watch.
Yeah, exactly. Not watching ad, exactly. Let's do a few questions then here. Talk about this first. A couple of people asked this. Jesse wants to know, can you review my portfolio? We will do portfolio reviews again. We're thinking about changing the format of them a little bit, but we will get back to those. We may do some live ones. We're thinking about putting more of a structure around it a little bit more. Yeah, and kind of pre-recording them. Yeah, so we'll not today, but we'll see on that. We haven't quite settled on what we're doing with that.
What I would say, Yasin, if you look at those 6 sections, do you have those 6 sections? That's your number 1 thing. And then do you have work that you can demo that someone can click on and look at?
You have to objectively kind of take yourself out of your own shoes and put yourself in those of a hiring manager and then look back on it and kind of with different eyes, right? And say, would I hire me if I'm looking at this? And just be honest with yourself. Yeah. If you think like, oh, that's bad, like maybe you should change it.
And I think we do that at Coder Foundry. Like, if someone, if I get negative feedback on something like that, I look at it objectively. I don't get offended and like, okay, let me look at that. And then I'll go, oh, I see what you're saying. Let's change this in the course, or let's change this in the portfolio. And it's not that I'm moved by every negative comment, but I look at a consensus of things and try to figure out what's working in the marketplace and what's not, what moves the needle, what doesn't. And then we change it because we want to move the needle. We want to get hired. It's not personal to us. It's like, this is more scientific to us than like touchy-feely. And we tell students all the time, we don't like the colors you put on the portfolio. Change them. People get mad at us, but I love purple and gold. It looks great on a Laker uniform. It looks terrible on a website. Change it. Yeah. I'm not mad at you. Just change it so I can get you a job. That's all I care about. The portfolio is only to get you a job. It's not your personal. It's not a personal reflection of you personally. It's just a profession of you professionally.
That kind of brings up a good point, because we don't get offended by that stuff. We genuinely don't. You can say whatever, but then we also turn around and we sometimes expect other people not to get offended too, and they do get offended, and it's like, and then I feel bad about it, but it's like, you just, I don't know, sometimes you just gotta, I don't know, you gotta say what's right. That's the way I look at it.
Yourself from
it's helpful.
It's not a personal reflection on you. This is a professional reflection. It's different. And so, I just want to get a job. Tell me what the color should be. Okay. Use blue. That's boring. Okay, don't use blue. Right, you asked me. I'm telling you what to do. It's like, I like purple and gold. Great. And I've seen people, we have seen it over and over again. Someone will come in with a mostly pink website and we'll go, it looks good.
Yeah, you can pull it off if you do it right.
And then we've seen someone that's like, change it. That's terrible. I just want to get you a job.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got?
Let's see. Yardley says, is C# difficult to learn? Or is some C# courses are just not teaching it in a good way? Because I know some friends that are struggling with C# when listening to them.
I don't know about your friends. What I would say is programming in general can be hard for some and not as hard for others. What I would say is if you're setting out to be a C# developer, you got to learn it. So object-oriented programming may be more difficult to understand than others.
For sure.
And then inside of C# is a language. What you have to learn in conjunction with the language is the framework that you're going to use it with.
Yeah.
So that can be ASP.NET, that could be .NET MAUI, and a lot of the courseware out there is teaching console apps. And then when they try to apply that to the ASP.NET, they have a problem because they haven't learned the framework yet. There's two things to learn when we're building ASP.NET websites, which is the framework and the language.
Yeah. And I would say the language is no more difficult than any other languages to learn.
It's a C-style language, man.
If you look at them side by side, any other object-oriented programming is it's going to look very similar. There's nothing more difficult about it. The tooling may be more complex, like you say, because it's more modern. And it probably does more things than some other ones. Maybe that could be a thing. I'm not sure. But I would say out of the two things, you talk about tooling versus language. The tooling is probably the harder part to learn because there's just a lot of it. And it's how to figure that part out is kind of can be kind of complex. But no more than any other, no more than any other language for sure. So,
what I would say, Yardley, learn what's necessary, not what's necessarily easy. Okay? Learn the thing that's going to get you the job, give you more opportunities for a job, and not necessarily what's the easiest thing to learn. There's not very many people building Python websites. There's a few, but it's less. And so if you're saying I'm learning Python because it's easy and you're not doing data science, you're doing the wrong thing. That's what I think. I think there's 2 or 3 stacks in the web development arena that gives you the most opportunity to win. Can you build it with the other stuff? Yeah, just no one else is. On a scale.
Right.
So I'm sure I've insulted a bunch of people just now, but
sorry.
Just saying.
Troy said one of the first questions I got in interviews is, what are you currently working on? That's
How did you answer it?
Yeah, hopefully you had something to answer with. I'm sure Troy does. He's
if you get that in the first interview and you fail the interview, you did it wrong. Because if you say, what are you currently working on? Let me show you. And boom, you're into the demo. If you can demo a project, you should win. You should win because you know the code backwards and forwards. So that's a great first question. I love that question. That's the one I would beg every student to get. What are you currently working on? As a matter of fact, I'm working on a bug tracker. Let me show you that real quick. Boom, you're in a demo, and then you're controlling the interview from that point forward.
Definitely.
That's a great question.
Let's do one more here. Iman says, as a junior developer, I started C# a year ago, and I've done a lot of APIs. And in front end, I learned Angular, but I wanted to know, should I start to learn Blazor?
Yeah, if you want. I think it's going to. Yeah, I think it's going to be dominant next year. But if you know Angular, you should be able to get a job at this point. So the question I would ask is, what projects do you have What can you show in an interview, and start interviewing while you're learning Blazor. I don't think you need to stop looking because you're going to pick up Blazor in this quarter. You could have learned Blazor last year. I mean, so like that isn't the thing that's going to keep you from getting a job faster. The thing that's going to get your job faster is start interviewing today, showing a project during that interview, and land. That may take 3 months from now for you to land, but like if you've got a great project, the question you have to ask yourself is, are my projects here or are they down here? I don't know the answer to that because I haven't seen your stuff. So like, you just got to look at it. Are they simple? Do they have authorization? Do they have a database? Do they solve a business problem? If the answer's to no to those, make a bigger project with what you know how to do, which is APIs, JavaScript, and Angular. Since you already know it.
There you go. Before we wrap up here, Andy, we'd like to keep you on your toes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Full disclosure, I think we're going to go to a Friday stream because of our schedule. I think our schedule has changed a little bit.
It looks better on Fridays, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think we, if you don't know, we have another podcast we're doing, the .NET, the Not Know podcast that we do. And that is recorded on a Wednesday night. And then I'm not. Kevin's editing on Thursday.
I edit on Thursday. Yeah.
And so it's really hard for us to get a show ready for Thursday while he's editing. And so instead of us putting out a bad show on Thursday afternoon, we're going to say, let's just move it to Friday and we'll try it. We may move it to Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. We're going to try this, see how it does.
Yeah. And I'll definitely make sure the ads are fixed for next time. These live ads are killing me.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any ad on a live show.
Yeah, it's a bad experience, right? I don't like it.
We have to segment our content that way and wait around. Go.
Yeah. You can actually force an ad into this thing now on here.
Well, if we're going to force one, we should tell everyone. Going to commercial.
Hey, back in 15 seconds. and then for those that skip, right, we're just sat here just
sitting around waiting.
Are they back yet?
No, we're not.
Okay, we're back. No, but that's not even how it works. It's just weird. It just randomly throws ads in. And by the way, if you've seen an ad during this, not everybody saw it at the same time. And I don't get to see, so it's not even it tells you, hey, everyone's looking at an ad right now. It doesn't even tell you that. You just randomly throw it into an ad. So you could have just been at a point where you're just and the most important thing is
Pfizer.
Exactly. Why this VPN? Whatever ad you guys are seeing. Yeah, that's a bad experience. I'll make sure that gets fixed for next time. I'm hoping I can just turn it off channel wide. I don't mind them back on the replays, but on the live it's just not good. So apologies.
Because the replay cuts and then it comes back to where
exactly. It's nice and easy. Yeah, you guys are live trying to get the info, and it's just throwing ads at you. So sorry about that.
You can watch it on replay, I guess, and you'll get all the information.
Exactly, the most important thing. Yeah, you can get it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should be back here. We'll try again. We'll be back again next Friday, and then we'll see how these go. And if we want to change them up again, we can change them up again.
Yeah.
As long as you guys show up, we'll be here.
All right.
Cool. I'm gonna go watch. Take my lunch now and watch Formula One. It's the qualifying, so I'm going to go watch that.
So in news, Apple has bid on the Formula One contract.
Yeah, they have. Hey, I'm okay with them getting it as long as they keep the same coverage they have now. I don't want this. I don't want Americanized coverage of Formula One. I've seen what
you don't want the guys marching out to pomp and circus?
No, I don't. I don't want some over sensationalized American commentary on it.
Yeah.
You guys ruin football as it is. Sorry, American commentators, but you do. Just keep with what we've got now and just rebroadcast it, just like we have on ESPN. I'm cool with it.
What about the roaming coverage? Hey, Tom Brady, how you doing?
Yeah, it's weird, right?
What's that got to do with Formula One? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. They'll be following them to the bathroom and stuff next. It's no, just hold on. Whoa. We don't need that. We don't need that insight.
Just imagine if Taylor Swift starts dating one of these drivers. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, exactly. Just like it is in football right now. Exactly.
Now we're the most important thing in a Kansas City Chiefs game is to see her reaction to every play. Yeah, they're going to have. She's going to be on the color commentary before long. She'll be sitting there right beside Mike Tirico on ESPN. Saying,
yep, it's going to happen.
What do you think, Taylor?
It's going to happen. You joke, but it's going to happen.
I don't know.
That's it. We'll catch you guys next week. We'll be back.
See you later. Keep coding.
Bye.